What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Investing Bros. My apology to BitBoy on the other side of the wall that probably is hearing my entire intro during his stream. I think very soon I will be shooting in a different room so that we don't have too much crossover. But it is time to jump into the Investing Bros live show. Guys, last night Bitcoin jumped up and touched briefly over $30,000, and there really isn't too much explanation other than we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but it is looking like Microstrategy over the course of July purchased an additional 467 Bitcoin, and that potentially was a kind of a route to liquidate some shorts. We're going to talk about that and a lot more and push the price back up. But the question is, after retouching 30,000 last night, is that a sign that the rally is back on? Or do we have further to go to the downside? We're going to be answering that question and more. So make sure you don't go anywhere. Make sure you go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Guys, we are getting ever closer. We didn't get to our 4,000 subscriber goal by the end of July, but we are less than 100 away. Please, 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 if you are new here, consider hitting subscribe and joining the show every single morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we cover crypto, we cover stocks, we cover the news, we cover the TA, everything you need to know so that you can invest wisely for yourself. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe if that is something that you love. I'm going to introduce my co-host this morning, Mr. T. Shroom from down in Florida. T. Shroom, how you holding up?
Oh, man. I am doing better than I deserve, Tim. We've got Army Piper in the chat. Can you believe it? He said, "Good morning, bros." Yes, Army Piper checking in. And he's one of the bros. He's taking a little bit of a hiatus right now for some family personal reasons, but we're excited to have him back when he's ready. Always.
I do think he's going to be making a special appearance on the 11th. I think it's going to be next Friday. So not this coming Friday. Next Friday, T-Shroom will be going on a trip. Piper will be filling in on that day. And again, it's one of those things that it's like, man, I want to have Piper back soon, but not too soon. And he needs to do what he needs to do, and he'll get back to us ready to go, healthy, happy, and squared away. So with that said, T-Shroom, I have no Dwight Schrute quote of the day today. I'm going to talk about my background, but do you have a quote of the day for us?
I do, Tim. I've actually got a little bit of a quote of the day here for us today, and it's going to come from someone I don't think we ever or will ever reference, but it is Lizzo. She said, "I'm going to do my thing. No apologies."
That is bad timing, T-Shroom. Have you heard the accusations recently?
Accusations about Lizzo? Huh. I'll have to look into that.
Goodness gracious. Okay. What a quote of the day. What a quote from a person, and especially that, pull it back up again. I want to read those words again. "I'ma do my thing, no apologies." Well, Lizzo, your thing definitely requires some apologies, and then maybe some fines and maybe jail time. I don't know. We'll have to move on. Lizzo.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. And I've got some new NFTs behind me. We're going to get into those. We're going to get into those in the community section.
Gotcha. Well, should we get in my background? I mean, I got a new. So this is,
and
TJ's
we're probably not going to talk about Tim's background at all. We just won't cover it.
Okay. Never mind. Don't even look.
We'll do a short on his personal channel that has 3 subscribers. And that's how we'll let you guys know.
Do I have 3 subscribers on my personal channel?
Yeah.
I don't think I even have them. Okay, well, anyway, let's go ahead and jump on in here with the rest of the show. Guys, we're about to jump into some crypto, but of course, you guys know who are old faithfuls here. We got to start off with the reading of the names, and oh my goodness, the first commenter of the day, Crypto Sec Guy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's probably a first. I don't know. If it's not a first, it's the first time in a long time. But shout out to Crypto Sec Guy with the blue wrench as well. Despite the fact that he tries to sabotage me on the daily basis. Why does he have a blue wrench, by the way? I don't even understand that. Who gave it to him? Okay. A mellow fellow also has a blue wrench. He's a nice fellow and a little mellow, I would say, about him as well. He's coming in second. Eric Wallen coming in third place. So congratulations to the top 3 commenters. Who else do we have here this morning? Mr. J is here. Bedridden with the blue wrench is here. Mike Volmer is here, which, by the way, guys, 4,000 subscribers. Gia S, who's also in chat right now, she's going to become a subscriber. And then when we get to 5,000, Mike Vollmer is next in line. He'll become a moderator at 5,000. So you got to get subscribers up to get these new moderators here, new blue names. Let's see who else is here this morning. T-Shroom with the blue wrench. Al Bundles, Crypto Trappa is here. Eric Wall and Gia S. Al Bundle again. Tyler Durden is here saying hello, friends. It's a me, a Crypto Mario is here. Mike Play is here. Justin Eubanks is here. Peter Provost is here. CBD Suddy is here. Who else do we have? Arson 256, Crypto Ben Franklin, everyone's favorite non-president. Average Crypto Joe. Ninja Glock, Brian D. Let's see here. Nancy Croy. Let's get like 5 more names, and we're going to go ahead and get into the crypto content here. Mike Lowry is here with the Blue Wrench. Grand Roofing Incorporated is here. Lexa Caliber is here, or Lex Caliber. I don't know why I put Alexa. Lex Caliber. Look at 3 more. Crypto Trades with the green name. Let's see. 2 more. Yair Navarro. And we already gave a shout out to Army Pipers, but shout out to him once again. Let's go the last one of the day, Remington Peralt. Shout out to everybody in chat. I know there's a lot of you guys who I did not get to read your names, and I want you to know it's not because I don't love you. It's just because it's time to go ahead and get into the content today. Let's go ahead and jump on over here to our economic outlook of the morning, T-Shroom.
Let's do it.
What do we have? It looks like really not that much popping today. We did get the 30-year mortgage rate coming in a little higher than last month. So that's not necessarily positive for anyone looking to buy a home anytime soon. ADP employment change, it did tick to the downside, but definitely a lot higher still than what the consensus and forecast was. So that's not necessarily, it's one of those things that is good for Americans. But it's not necessarily what Jerome Powell wants to see. Let's move on to the next couple of days. Thursday, over in Great Britain, they will get their interest rate decision. It absolutely is looking like they're going to get 25 basis points. We don't cover that as closely as you cover America. Anyone from England in chat, give us your prediction. Are you guys expecting that 25 basis points to come, or are you expecting a pause, or are you expecting 50? I don't know. Let us know what you guys think. Let's see what else is happening on Thursday. ISM Services PMI will come out. Moving on to Friday, unemployment rate and non-farm payrolls will be called. So make sure you guys tune in on Friday to get those calls. Let's keep moving on here, though, T-Shroom. Let's take a look at liquidations. Like we said, we've had a lot of a price action, but specifically on Bitcoin. We'll cover that more in the chart. By the way, guys, we're doing a deep dive today on Bitcoin. Not a lot of local stuff. I'm going to be going out. We're going to be looking at the past couple of years, pretty much the entire existence of Bitcoin, what has happened, and you're going to definitely want to see that. Let's go all the way to 24 hours. There have been $51 million of liquidations on Bitcoin within the last 24 hours. 11 million of those were still long liquidations, but 39.8. So let's just go ahead and call it pretty close to $40 million of Bitcoin shorts were liquidated. That is the reason why Bitcoin pumped. Ultimately, whether you want to blame it on MicroStrategy news or whatever it is, we pumped based off of a lot of shorts getting wrecked yesterday. Ethereum is also up there, 17.8 million liquidations, 3.7 of those being long, 14.1 of those being short liquidations. So we had a little bit of a boost there as well. Litecoin is the leader of the long liquidations, but that's pretty much 50-50, 1.36 long, 1.2 million short. So kind of 50-50 there. And then you're going to see a lot less with all these other boxes here. We'll cover that more in a second. I don't know if you guys also noticed this, but the Bitcoin dominance chart went up as well. And I'm telling you right now, altcoin lovers, when the Bitcoin price rises and the Bitcoin dominance chart rises, not a positive thing.
Hey, Tim, let me jump in really quick before we get too far away from macro news, because there's something that there's something that has happened that doesn't come up on the economic news. So it wouldn't have been on that screen, but the government has taken some action. So Fitch has downgraded the U.S. long-term ratings from AA plus, to AA plus from AAA. So it's a downgrade.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the agency has placed the country's rating on negative watch in May, citing the debt ceiling fight in Washington. That's probably pretty routine. But the repeated debt limit political standoffs and last-minute resolutions have eroded confidence in the fiscal management. And then stocks futures open lower Tuesday evening after the downgrade. What does it mean? I mean, it's basically bearish, right? It's bearish for the United States. How
Hmm.
seriously Wall Street is going to take this, and like the London exchange and other Asian exchanges are going to take this is questionable because it's still the best in the land on Earth.
Hmm.
So so, but there has been a reaction to this. Yellen says that the Fitch downgrade based on outdated data, and then Zero Hedge has a clever comeback to that. Says she's right. U.S. interest expense no longer 50 billion; it's now 1 trillion. So
500 billion.
it's actually
Double.
worse. Yeah. And then there's a little bit more about Treasury new issuing Treasuries. So Treasury boosts auction sizes for all nominal notes and bonds. And then the U.S. Treasury lifts total refunding auction by 7 to 103 billion.
My goodness.
Treasury says more auction size boosts likely needed in the future. So this is not the Fed. This is the Treasury, of which Janet Yellen is the head. She's the chair, and she's also the former chairwoman of the Fed. So these people keep a pretty close circle. But all of this, to be honest with you guys, it's not this is complicated, right? The bond market and how that translates into, is it a risk off or risk on, right? That's what we care about. Should I buy more Bitcoin? Should I not? This is going to translate into higher yields on bonds from everything that I'm seeing, and that just means higher interest rates, right? Functionally, it's a higher interest rate without the Fed raising interest rates. So that
Yeah.
would mean that rates are going to go to the higher end of that range. And it looks
Yeah.
like Piper has chimed in. He said, donating $2 in a super chat. He said it is basically the credit rating for the U.S. Right? That's the rate, and that's right. That's right on. So a little bit of a head scratcher when we get this deep into the bond stuff, but this is sudden. It happened recently. It happened like yesterday, not necessarily as a direct reaction to the Fitch re-rating, but it is happening in tandem. And the fact that it happened at the same time that these Lizzo allegations are coming out, man, I don't
What's
even
that?
know.
No, I mean, so bringing it back, we're about to continue on with our economic outlook, getting into the charts. But guys, this is what we have been kind of referencing here. Bidenomics do not work. They're great at putting some good numbers on a piece of paper here and there, but eventually you got to pay the piper, and it's looking like that is starting to catch up. Again, I'm hoping it doesn't get ugly, but if anyone thought that a smooth landing was going to happen after the irresponsibility of this government over the last couple of years, you were fooling yourself. Unfortunately, the current people in charge don't know how to fix the problem. They just know how to lie and try to make themselves look good until their time is up. Let's keep moving on, though, T. Shrew, and get back into some other details this morning. Let's look at Trueflation. Down technically this morning, back down to 2.23%. So we're kind of hovering back down. Of course, that's good. It's just not what Jerome Powell and the government looks at necessarily. Let's keep moving on to CME futures. Let's just see. More than likely, it's going to be pretty much exactly where we left it yesterday. Technically, a little bit higher prediction that September will see a pause once again. Let's check in, though. When is the first cut coming? It is looking like we're back to predicting in March rather than May of 2024 should be the first rate cut. So that could be interesting. Keep moving on here. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index jumping up to 53. Out of curiosity, what was the timing? When did we actually make that push up to 30K? I'm on the daily chart, so got to go down to the hourly chart to see when that push really happened. Of course, this Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index comes in about 8 o'clock, and it would have been, yeah, okay, it would have come in after this little rally up here. So, yeah, we're getting the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index ticking to the up. It actually stayed neutral. It stayed exactly where it was. So, that's weird. We have 10 hours. Yeah, that's 8 o'clock. I don't know why. That's weird that it didn't tick up any higher despite the fact that price increased. Let's move on, though. Let's take a look at coin market cap. I was taking a look at Caspa earlier. We might do some slight TA on Caspa today. It's hard to do TA on a coin that's hitting new all-time highs, but we'll give it a swing here in a second. Looking at the top coins, you guys are going to see this. Again, I said it earlier. Polygon at 1.6 isn't even as high as Bitcoin. Bitcoin last 24 hours is up 1.83%. That is the highest of the top 10. Let's see if there's anything wrapped Bitcoin. So again, we're talking about something tied to Bitcoin's price is up a little bit higher than that. And we have Chainlink in the top 20. Chainlink is the top mover of the day. I know JT Skinner in chat is excited about that. Let's take a look at the biggest gainers and losers, though. XDC back in the top gainer spot at 16%. What a jump for them. That's a coin that's continuing to be on a tear. 22% in the last week, but you guys can even see over the chart, it's been moving to the upside here over the last 7 days, and XDC's had a little bit of a rally coming on. Bone Shiba swap up 33% on the last 7 days. He's up 8% today. Maker up another 7%. Remember, I think we talked about Maker last night, and I said, like, hey, I think there's more room to the upside here. I don't know if it's time to necessarily short it. Well, yes, guess what? It's still moving to the upside there.
You called it, Tim.
Isn't very red, but I don't know if we're gonna get to look at that in today's TA. There's too much to talk about, but we'll maybe take a look at that next couple of days. Anything else jumping off the charts here? Big coins, not necessarily. Let's take a look at the biggest losers. Curve down 7% again, man. It continues to bleed, but I do think that's interesting. We might have to take a look at Curve. I don't know. We'll see what happens today. Uniswap down 2%. You guys know Uniswap. Ben is not a fan of Uniswap. If you guys watched the BitBoy show, and they just did something yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw this with all this Richard Hart stuff, and we talked about that yesterday. Uniswap just delisted or just erased Hex, so you can't even trade it over there. Continuation of Uniswap, kind of showing some flags that it might not be the decentralized fan we thought they were. They might have a lot more centralized features than we thought. Let's go ahead and move on, though. That was our crypto market cap open for you guys this morning. We're about to jump into the charts over here to Bitcoin. Let's go out to the daily chart here. Now, I told you guys, coming down to my other chart, last night I said if we woke up this morning there was 30K, I would erase my thought, and we did touch 30K, but I'm still leaning bearish, everybody. I still believe that Bitcoin's price could be going down. Those of you who were in our bro time yesterday for our silver members only, you watched me live as I'm looking at a detail. I'm going to do this for everybody here in just a couple of minutes, but I'm looking at what is happening here on the chart, especially when I come out to the monthly chart, where we just closed a red July. Technically right now, August is green, but we got a lot of August left before we close that candle. While we were live, I have said before, guys, I thought we were hitting 36 before 25. You guys know that these were our predictions on the last day Piper was here. We all kind of made predictions on where we thought the top of 2023 would be, where the bottom would be. And I said 36K top, 25K bottom, but I thought 36 would happen first. Yesterday, live during bro time, I changed my prediction. I think, guys, we might see a $25,000 Bitcoin price before we see 36. And then, depending on if that ends up being true, I think there's a good chance that when we see a 36K Bitcoin again, that's not going to be the top. It's going to be maybe a partial top as a real bull market is starting. I'm starting to suspect potentially, this 31,800 was the top of what I'm calling the pre-bull market rally. We could be in for about a year, everybody, of downward, sideways, and then volatile markets. What that means is maybe for the next year, I told you guys, I don't really think the explosive bullish momentum starts until next summer, little less than a year. Let's go about 11 months from now, 11 to 12 months from now is my range. But I think theoretically speaking, like if I'm talking about July, let's go right here. If I'm talking about July of 2024 being the real bullish momentum kickoff, I think what we're seeing here, guys, is potentially a fall to 25. Oh, look at that, because I'm in monthly chart. It's going to give me these straight lines. I think maybe you make a bounce back up to 30K, maybe come back down like this, and then kind of trade sideways, waiting for the real momentum to start. And that's when we take off later next year. That's what I'm kind of predicting. And I'm about to break it down for you guys why that is. I got to go off to my longer time frame chart. This is the entire index that TradingView has for us. It goes back as far as you can go back, and it's going to give us a look at what months of July's look like. Now, I want to start off by saying, let's go to the log chart here. I have highlighted, I have lined up for you guys. This is every single time we had a red July, right? So in the history of Bitcoin now has experienced, all right, so it's 2023. We had a July back in 2000. No, we technically did have a July in 2009 because we ended at 2008, but it's not going to say that. So we technically had one. See, that was that quick math. 15. We had 15 Julys now in Bitcoin's history. 5 of them. So 1/3 of the Julys have been red, but there's something that comes along with red Julys that I want you guys to see. Let's go back to the first one that we did see that was red, at least on this chart, and that would be July of 2011. Let's take a look at what happened here, guys. Let's talk about what price of Bitcoin was doing. You guys can obviously see we had a nice explosion in price action. We peaked out here in June of 2011, but then July turned red, and it was followed by 1, 2, 3, 4 more red months. All right. Not a great start. July was the beginning of a downfall. Not new lows. Again, we're setting higher lows still, but it was a period of correcting from the explosion, from that rally, and then it moved to the downside. Let's go forward to the next red July here in 2014. What do we see here? Oh, look at this. Previous 2 months green after having a little bit of a fall here in 2014. We started a rally, but then boom, rally over. July of 2014 happens. It is followed by 1, 2, 3 more red months, 1 green month, and then 5, 6 more red months before we finally bottomed out the bottom of 2015 and started to make our sideways movement and then rally to the upside. So 2nd July, we've had 2 of them that are red. They're preceded by red candles. Let's take a look at the next one. This is the least bad July that we've had that was red. But once again, what do we see here? In early 2016, we're rallying. We peak out in June, and then boom, July moves to the downside. It's only followed by 1 red month, but it moved to the downside and corrected from a pre-bull market rally, corrected back down, and then we resumed the rally here in 2017, leading to that new all-time high set at the end of 2017. But now we fast forward. When was the next red July? That would be July of 2019. And you guys have heard me compare what's currently happening to July or to 2019 many, many times. Guys, what happens? Boom. Pre-bull market rally. We do not set a new all-time high. We're rallying from a bottom. We peak out in June, have a red July, and it is followed by 1, 2 more red months. Technically, we had a break here, green month in October, followed by 2 more red ones. What is my point here, guys? My point is that when Julys are red, which do not happen very often, but we've seen it happen 4 times before on Bitcoin, it is never the last red month. This would imply, if history repeats itself, that August should also be red. And that's just if we only repeat the least significant of them all back in July of 2016. The others, as we talked about, had at least 3 more months, 4 or 5 more months of red candles afterwards. This kind of backs up suspicions we've been talking about on this channel, guys, that this fall could be rough. And a lot of people didn't want to say it. We, of course, got the XRP news that broke that they won and they beat the SEC. And everyone was so excited, like, oh, how can this not be the beginning of a new rally? How can we not go ahead and rally up from here? Well, guess what? We've had a couple different areas of P entering the Cheerios. This one, when we're looking at the charts. But secondly, did you guys not pay attention to that story the other day when a federal judge says that he is not using the precedent set by Judge Torres, that he still believes second offerings of coins will classify as securities? Did we celebrate too early? Is the XRP case actually over? Are XRP and altcoins actually in the clear? Might not be that simple. And especially when we're looking at what T-Shroom just broke down here a couple of minutes ago, the economy, we just got a bad credit rating. We're seeing Bidenomics kind of crumble in front of our faces. We're seeing charts say, guys, when Julys are green, we're good. Like, by the way, just so you guys know, if you come back and look at some other Julys that are green, let's say, for example, July here of 2020, this was the beginning of that real bullish momentum that the bull market of 2020 actually sparked. Right here, July 2021 was after bottoming out after all of the Elon FUD for Bitcoin. It started off the new fresh rally here for Bitcoin. You keep backing up. Let's look at some other Julys here. July 2017, kind of a middle month. So this one's not necessarily anything significant. It was in the middle of a nice rally. Let's keep backing up though. July of 2015. July of 2015 was a peak there. Okay, so this one outlier we have right here, July of 15. But when you go back to others, let's go July 2013. Look at this. After 2 negative months, small correction, July was the month that turned it back around, moved to the upside. Long story short, guys, when you're looking at Julys, if Julys are green, it's overwhelmingly very bullish for the space. It's actually kind of usually a bottoming out or a momentum shift that pushes Bitcoin price to the upside. However, without fail, 4 times when Julys are red, it is a very negative sign. And when you're putting all the pieces together from the news, from the sentiment, and from the charts, guys, I hate to do this, but I do believe August is going to be another red month. And I do believe 25K could be played out before we see 36K. Would love to be wrong. I would love for my original prediction to be true, but I've got to call it as I see it. We're seeing the cards kind of unfold and painting a picture. It could get ugly here. More than likely, August will be red and September, if not October as well. You heard it here first, guys. I haven't seen anyone else break it down like that. Now, I referenced something else that happened this morning, another reason to be a little bit pessimistic about the altcoin space as a whole, and that is, guys, that we have just gotten back above 50% on Bitcoin dominance. It did this while having a Bitcoin rally. In fact, when you looked at last night, yeah, Bitcoin's corrected now. We're back down to 29.4. But when Bitcoin exploded last night, nothing else was really moving. It was just Bitcoin moving up in price. And that's the reason why Bitcoin dominance did in fact make its way back up over 50%. It's also because we were super to the downside, oversold here as we traded sideways flashing. If you go back to the 4-hour charts, we were oversold. Now we're starting to get back to being oversold here. So let's see if there's a small correction on Bitcoin dominance. But as a whole, it was time for it to go ahead and keep rallying. And especially what we're talking about is true. And we having a red August, not just for Bitcoin, but for altcoins as well. You're going to see just like we saw back in 2019. Let's go over here. Oh, didn't mean to move that line. But whatever, we'll have to readjust that later. Let's go back over to 2019, guys, and take a look at what happened here. Just like I said, June was the peak. Come on, chart, work with me here. All right, here we go. Just as I said, June was the peak of 2019. Then we had a correction. Guess what? June's peak was the bottom of the Bitcoin dominance before it had a massive uptick. As everything fell in price, the Bitcoin dominance climbed another 27%. Am I saying that Bitcoin dominance is going to climb 27%? No, I don't think that's the case. But 60%? Could we climb another 10%? I think so, guys. I think so. I think we absolutely could do that. I guess that's not the right way of reading this. Let me apologize to you guys real quick. We went from, 57% jumping all the way up to 73%. So that would be a 20% rally. Excuse me, guys. I don't think the Bitcoin dominance is jumping 20%, but I think 10% is not too hard to ask for Bitcoin dominance as we're seeing these things go to the downside. So keep your eyes on that. I know a lot of people, as we saw Bitcoin dominance falling, were messaging me saying, Tim, are you doing okay? You're preparing that stake for DZ. But let me tell you, it is not over. 60% is absolutely still in the cards for Bitcoin dominance. So let's take a look at some other coins, though. XRP kind of still struggling right there on that 69-cent region. So we're keeping an eye on what is happening there. There's a coin, T-Shum, I said there was another coin I wanted to take a look at. Do you remember what that was?
Well, Litecoin's havings today.
Litecoin's having is today. It's down 3% right now. One of the more significant down ones on my side. Remind me, I think I said I was going to look at Caspa. I think we're going to take a quick look at Caspa that is setting a new all-time high, even like as we speak.
That's right. That's what it was.
Which one do I want to use? We'll go BITGET here. That's
it's actually an hour and 45 minutes until the Litecoin halving.
Hey, okay.
So
Caspa USD. Why is it correcting? What is Caspa's ticker symbol? Is it just CAS?
I think so, yeah. KAS.
All right, I think that's it. All right, let's take a look here. All right, so what you're seeing here, Caspa setting, it just set, well, kind of double topped. There's another chart I was looking at that is set a new all-time high, but we're definitely double topping. When you pull up our oscillators here, you're going to see Caspa, it's not even necessarily in a bad place after topping out and getting overbought, and that being a very bearish divergence with the red reversal and overbought signal marking the last top. The fact that we have bounced, come back down low, and are making a push again, I do believe Caspa can continue to the upside. This is one of those really hard things to call, everybody. When you're looking at new all-time highs and you have nothing to compare it to in the past, there's really only one thing you can do, and that is to use Fibonacci extension to take a look at some interesting spots to keep your eyes on. Of course, again, double topping right now at the previous all-time high around 4.2 cents. The next level you might want to keep your eye on, if we can push with some significance, is going to be somewhere up here around 1.236, around 5 cents. Again, anytime, if you guys have been entered a Caspa trade at this point, re-hitting all-time highs, you're not a fool to take profit here. But if you're saying how much higher could this go before a strong rejection, If we are able to avoid the double top, the next level you are probably looking for is up here closer towards 5 cents. Again, it's a Wild West because there's never been price action above 4.2 cents. So it'll be very interesting to see if we start to see Castle's price get above there, what it does will be interesting. There's another one I want to look at. We have not looked at this one too much recently. I know every now and then T. Shroom will cover it during market open, and we're about to jump into market open, but this is a good little segue. The Dixie, guys, especially as we're talking about some things happening here negatively, the Dixie is climbing. It's up over 102, a level we have not seen here in a matter of a couple weeks since earlier in July. What I'm keeping my eyes on is going to be interesting to see here. We do have a falling level of resistance. I know we talked about this level before, but around 102, 90, 94, 103 area is going to be interesting to see what happens to Dixie's price when we get there. That could be a level of rejection, in which case we're still seeing lower highs be set. That would be positive. But with the news we're having, there's definitely a chance that we're going to see the Dixie continue to climb and come up higher and start pushing back up to 104, 105 and make a move. I'm not necessarily overwhelmingly confident that the Dixie high is in. I know long term, even though when you look at this chart, you do see the Dixie going up and to the right. Guys, I am pretty confident that we're going to long term see this chart move downward and to the right. The dollar is just not going to make it long term, but there are things in play right now that are pushing the price to the upside. Definitely keep your eyes on them. We will cover the Dixie as well, but another thing, again, as we're pumping here with the Dixie, not close to being overbought yet, so there's a lot of room it could still run. It's definitely another thing that could continue to suppress and hurt the risk on assets like Bitcoin, like crypto. They could be moving to the downside. Guys, that's the crypto TA I have for you today. If you enjoyed that, if it makes sense, or even if you didn't enjoy it, go ahead and smash that like button for the free price of free. And we're going to transition now into our market open. T. Shroom, what are you seeing in the stock market? This could be a big day. I know you mentioned already stuff was down in pre-market, but what are we seeing that's been open now for 2 minutes?
For the market open?
Mm-hmm.
For the market open, U.S. equities. Yeah, we can go ahead and check that out. Let's see. Start with energy, as we always do. I always try to get a chuckle out of Tim. Oil is down back below $81 per barrel. Brent crude down 1.6 this morning. Natural gas continuing to play along with the inflation game, down 2.2%. So looking good there from an energy perspective. Not so much on the indexes. Got your NASDAQ coming down 1% here. We're not even 4 minutes into the New York session, and it's already big tank ski. S&P and Dow Jones not too far behind, both down more than 0.3%. So, you want to keep an eye on the indexes here, guys. This could be a good time to go ahead and monitor that and maybe even take a new position. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ really quickly. Actually, here, this is on the monthly chart. As you can see, it has had not 3, 4, 5 consecutive monthly candlestick closes there in the green for the NASDAQ. And it's under a trend assist green line with a buy rating back in May. So, it's kind of hard to argue with the bullishness that's in the market right now. But right now, we are getting a red candlestick here in the month of the current month. We're in August. And that's a movement of 1.5 to the downside, so that's definitely something that could easily be erased, and you see a move to the upside. The Dow Jones, I believe, has a pretty similar shape right now. It's had a lot more sideways movement, while the Nasdaq has had more upside. So that's definitely something to note. There, the S&P looks a lot more like the Nasdaq. Has had 5 candlesticks in a row. Was able to blast past that midline of the Bollinger Bands once it did get past it, and has not hit the upper band of that Bollinger Band quite yet. That is now sideways. So something to keep an eye on here, guys, as the indexes are bullish. Again, S&P on the monthly chart under a trend assist green and a buy rating. Again, this one in June, so it took a little longer for the S&P to get the buy rating on the monthly candlesticks. Let's actually take a look at that on the so the Dow Jones does not have a buy rating yet, just a green trend assist there. So, and Dow Jones pretty close to the zero line here on the Prime Oscillator Pro oscillator, and then you can see on the MACD it's looking like it could go either direction, but based on the candlesticks, you can say it's probably going to make a run for these, put in a new all-time high there. So, all right, taking a look, that's the indexes. Taking a look here at your metals, you see gold and silver both modestly down, not really moving too strongly in either direction. Steel down 2.2. We don't look at steel very often. Let's have a gander here, because oil's important. Steel's definitely to a lesser extent important, but it does look a little bit like steel. Does look a little bit like oil because it's a similar input to the U.S. economy. And the global economy, but it's actually still under a sell rating here on the monthly, but is on a green trend assist. So those kind of invalidate each other. And in this kind of sideways movement that it's been in here since April of 2009, you can pretty much guarantee that this price is going to stay range bound between $40 and $7 to $8. Goodness gracious, that's a range right there. So people have been trading this. I think I tried to trade it not too long ago because it is in this somewhat predictable range. But again, this is the monthly chart, so it only can tell you so much. Taking a look here at the mega cap tech stocks, you can see here Tesla down 2% and red across the board, with Nvidia down 2.4%. So that's a pretty dramatic move there for Nvidia to the downside, a name that seems to only get bought. But as you can see, guys, this is a pretty strong reaction to probably a combination of Fitch downgrading the U.S. and also the U.S. Treasury coming out with some new voodoo on how they're going to try to control the bond markets. So issuing a bunch of new bonds to try to raise liquidity. Who's buying the bonds, though, is the question. And as we get down to the bonds, you can see that nobody's buying them, right? The yields are coming up today. That means that nobody's buying the bonds. The bonds are actually being sold. So the value of the bonds are likely to go down because they just printed a bunch of new bonds, right? So the supply now of bonds is higher. So that means that the yields are going to come up. But what do the yields do? They bring interest rates up. So the Fed has already raised interest rates, but sometimes you'll notice, I think on the CME future tool, it shows a range of the interest rates. So this mechanism of printing new bonds pushes the interest rate to the higher end of that range, and sometimes beyond, because while the Federal Reserve sets the interest rate minimum, I believe, what they're essentially doing, though, is setting a range, and it's the banks and mortgage lenders that, in an emergent way, they set the actual interest rate for the day. Because it's a market rate at the end of the day, but that market rate has to exist within the range that the Fed sets up. All right, so taking a look here at the bonds, you can see it's painting a pretty clear story of the reaction to the Treasury and the Fitch re-rating. So it's pretty easy to interpret. The market is not liking it. The U.S. equities are down. Okay, bond yields are up, and bond values are likely to come down over the next couple months here, as there was a pretty sizable increase in new bond issuing. All right, taking a look here at cannabis, green across the screen, mid-cap tech, red across the screen. Did I say green across the screen for cannabis? I'm sorry. It's red across the screen for all of risk today.
To be fair, cannabis is green, though, so I understand
That's true.
Dilemma.
It is true. I've added a new... Pretty much there's nothing really to note here other than mid-caps are selling off, and they're selling off pretty heavy. Palantir showing a little bit of strength here up against DNA and C3.ai, only down 2%. I've been looking for a dip on Palantir. All right, taking a look here at BAH, though, is one that I've added. Caleb Franzen, someone we have on the show quite often, he shouted out this name today. It's a defense name that does a lot of what Palantir does, but for the defense industry. So something you might want to look into and take a look at their freaking chart, guys. This chart is insane. It looked like it was. This is a monthly chart. It was barely phased by the pandemic back here. Actually, I'm sorry. Pandemic would have been around here. Yes, this is where so it's barely phased by that, and just kept going. It didn't even go below its lower band of the Bollinger Band. I guess it wicked lower than that. So yeah, that's invalidated. It did wick lower than that, but it has shown extreme resilience, guys. You can see the strength here in this name. It kind of looks like Nvidia, but it's not. All right, taking a look here at the big banks. They're red across the screen. Oil red across the screen. Oh, look at this. A ray of sunshine. The crypto miners are green. Green across the screen. So there you go. Crypto is actually getting bought today, or at least Bitcoin. Bitcoin getting bought. Just so it's down 1%. But the crypto miners are actually up today. So very interesting. Likely that has to do with the fact that the price got back up above 30,000 for one Bitcoin. I think that's probably what it has to do with. So that's going to round out our market open. Having a look at the totality of the market today, I'd have to say it's a definitely a risk off day as traders and investors are trying to digest what these new bond issuances mean, especially running out in tandem with the Fitch downgrade and the Lizzo accusation. So we'll continue to monitor all three of those and make sure that we bring you accurate and up to date information on that. So yeah, Tim, that's your market open.
All right. Well, thank you so much, T-Shroom. It's time to talk community stuff, though, guys.
Let's do it.
In chat, I want to respond to a question or a thought by Meek Vision real quickly. So he said, let me back up to what his actual message was. So I responded to him in chat, but I feel like this would be good for people to hear. He pretty much, here we go. No COVID this time. Keep that in mind, Tim. By the way, I think that YouTube's okay with us saying the C word now, and I'm not spreading any misinformation about it. Whatever you believe about COVID is between you and yourself and you. But when he's talking about with that pandemic back in 2020, T-Shroom, go ahead and share my chart here. I want people to understand what we're looking at here. The reason why what I'm saying still stands, guys, this right here is the pandemic. The pandemic was a black swan event that hit us in March of 2020. So everything before this, though, is what we're looking at here. Look at what Bitcoin did after peaking out in June. It dropped. And I'm not saying we're going to have another 50% drop, but I'm saying it dropped 50% back to a former resistance level that got turned into support. We're talking about that being significant to 25,000. This has nothing to do with the pandemic, guys. What I'm looking at right now, again, when you look at the monthly chart, July, August is red right here, moving down until it bottoms. Actually, July, August, I think there's a slight green month in September, but then October and November are red as well. And then we bottom out here in December, finally get a green month in December. And then, of course, down in 2020, early 2020 is when we really got the bad news. This all happened, guys. If pandemic didn't happen, you could get rid of all this price action. Realistically, what this month would have looked like, what this period would have looked like is down here, come back up here, kind of rest right in here, continue to trade sideways, and then that's the halving event somewhere right in here. The real bull market started later on back in September of 2020. We know the 4-year cycle is not a perfect 4-year cycle. It's more like 3 years, 10 and a half months, something like that. That's why I'm saying this time rather than the bull market starting in September, I think it's going to be more like late July, August of 2024 when the real explosive price action happens. It's a good question, good point, Meek. I think it needed some credit there. Let's go back to Bro Cam here and do the rest of our announcements. Guys, this week, of course, we did not have a super guest Wednesday. We will have one again, though, next week. T-Shroom, do we already have that scheduled, or are we still looking to schedule someone?
Good question, Tim. Next week, we do not have a guest. So we did gather a bunch of really good recommendations on the Twitter. So we will be reaching out to those folks pending their level of appropriateness for our show. And we'll be updating you guys. I'm thinking maybe Chris Inks having him back on. I'm noticing that he's very bullish. He's kind of dialed into the Wyckoff narrative right now, and so he would be good to have on.
I think a lot of people here would like to hear some bullish news. I would love to hear bullish news. I just have to see it before I can say it.
For sure.
But other announcements tonight, guys. Remember, at 7 p.m. is our X Spaces, formerly known as Twitter Spaces. The Investing Bros are on X, by the way, in case you did not know it. Make sure you go follow all of us. T-Shroom, myself. You guys see our ticker symbol, which we got to update those graphics now with the X instead of that little white bird.
Probably won't.
Investing Bros. Make sure you follow Army Piper as well. All of those links, by the way, are also down below. Although maybe I wonder if those links still work now that it's x.com, not twitter.com. We got to check that out.
The domain, it reroutes to the same website. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
I don't. They would have to sell the Twitter website, and that would kind of defeat the purpose. Maybe they will, though. I don't know.
Oh, okay. There we go. Anything else we have for?
Yes. I will be on the Evan Aldo show at 5 p.m. on Friday the 4th. I will be jamming out with Evan Aldo. We're going to be talking macro events and Bitcoin adoption, and we might even get into a little bit of price. We'll see how his we had Evan on last week, I believe, and we were able to kind of get down to the nitty gritty on the charts with him. So maybe we'll take another swing at that when I'm on there on Friday the 4th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to see how everything matches up trade for trade. Taking a look at that's going to be kind of it for me in terms of community, other than the gallery. So I've got some updates. Oh, that was funny. I've got some updates on the NFT gallery. That's I spent a lot of money putting this addition to my house. So I would be remiss if I didn't kind of give you guys the update on everything that's going on in the gallery behind me. So as you can see, I'll start with this beautiful Gombles might be pronouncing it, from CBD Suddy. That is the one that is right here, and this is a Gombles. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but it is a very, very cool little guy with the 3D glasses holding a scientific instrument with the backwards hat on with a green background, is how I would describe that. Is a very nice introduction to the NFT gallery. And then we've got to the other side of me, we've got one that is from the Litola Rebirth. So Lolita Rebirth, something like that. So that's right over here. And that is from Irate Specialist. And I hope I'm pronouncing everything right. Probably not, but that's okay. We press on. And then drumroll please, the one behind us, behind me, is actually from Bedridden himself. And this is one of Bedridden's personal art NFTs. He calls it Looks. So if you go, it's actually on OpenSea. You can go check it out there on OpenSea. Bedridden will probably put a link in the Discord somewhere that you guys can see a link to his OpenSea NFT mint. So very, very cool stuff for the additions to the NFT gallery. Guys, I update these. I think it's going to be every month, but I'm not going to hold myself to that. Probably because it might be more frequent. It might be every week. It might be once a year. Who knows? But just send me your submissions on Discord, DM, or on Twitter, wherever you want. But make sure you include the project name so that I can mispronounce it live on stream.
Perfect. Well, I would say what's in my background, but it's probably going to change here soon again with the other side of the wall having a show going on as well. Probably going to be moving sets again. But I do have a spot that I'm looking at in the office. Going to be pretty sweet. Not going to give any hints away, but it looks nice. With that said, though, T-Shroom, let's go ahead and jump into our headlines. We do have some stories to go through. We got some Michael Saylor and Microstrategy stories because there's two different headlines following him. What do you got for us today?
Yeah, we've actually got a lot of stories today, guys. So let's go ahead and jump into them now. Taking a look at my screen, MicroStrategy's added 467 Bitcoin to their balance sheet in July. Wouldn't you like to be able to say that you did that? I know I would. The company owns now 152,000 Bitcoins as of July 31st, having added 267 Bitcoin, more than 152.
Wait, hold on. Let's back this up, T-Shroom. 152,800. That's important. And then 467, not 267.
Yes. These are numbers that we want to get right. And then that's 152,333 Bitcoin more than it reported at the end of June. So a very excited Michael Saylor tweet does hit on that exact message that all of those metrics are accurate. So taking a look there is definitely going to give you a little bit of a bullish tingle up your spine. I know it definitely did for me. But that's not all. There's also another story that Bitcoin whale Michael Saylor might buy a lot more Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy plans to sell up to $750 million of MicroStrategy stock, possibly to acquire Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin rose following this announcement. That may have been, the main reason why. It could also have been some of that bond stuff going on. Probably not, but maybe, as a little bit more uncertainty grows around traditional investments like U.S. Treasuries. But Microstrategy, the software developer that's amassed a giant Bitcoin stash in recent years, may raise up to 750 by selling its stock and use the proceeds to buy Bitcoin, among other things. Maybe pay their janitors, maybe pay the electric bill, things like that. But definitely a bullish story as well.
Just so people know, if the price hovers, just using 30,000 for easy math, that would mean he'd be buying a brand new 25,000 Bitcoin.
Wow.
Not a small number. Again, 467. I would love to have 467 Bitcoin. But if they do this around the same price action we have right now, again, and technically they're going to buy more than this because the price is below 30,000 and probably will be below 30,000. But yeah, they might be looking to add 25,000 Bitcoin to that already whopping number of Bitcoin they currently own. So big stuff.
It is very big. And some would argue this is an even bigger story, but it's not one that we wanted to run with and cover super heavy as much as we have the Michael Saylor story. U.S. House Committee flags BlackRock for China investments. They flag another bank, but BlackRock's the one that you probably care about. U.S. investors in around 500, U.S. investments in around 50 blacklisted Chinese companies have drawn the attention to the U.S. House of Representatives Select Committee on Chinese Communist Party. Well, I didn't know that they had a specific committee for that. The Chinese companies were blacklisted over claims of supporting Chinese military or alleged human rights abuses, the committee said. So the true scale is likely much larger, the letter said, from that committee. BlackRock did not immediately respond to CNBC's request for comment. So I don't know that they have a comment out there yet about this, but Tim, what happens with this story? Is this a nothing burger? I mean, is it even possible that BlackRock is going to get anything more than a couple $1 million fine and they go on, maybe fire somebody and then they go on as usual? Like, what happens here?
It is interesting. I saw an article today that the probability of the Bitcoin ETFs being approved is up to 65%. So that's positive. But when you see things like this happen, it has to be some form of suppression on those numbers, again, with especially Bitcoin probably leading the way, more than likely the expected Bitcoin ETF that gets approved first, or at least in that first grouping. We're probably not going to see a Bitcoin ETF till later this year or early next year anyway, but I'm seeing this more as a potential, the one good thing going for Bitcoin right now, that Bitcoin ETF, and of course BlackRock kind of beating that drum. And it's one of those things, I think everyone kind of is internally wrestling with this. None of us like BlackRock. We understand that their corruption, their power, their bloodthirst to own everyone and everything. But all of you are lying if you said that you are happy that an ETF wouldn't happen. Everyone holding Bitcoin wants to see a Bitcoin ETF happen. So this kind of news, if it does end up suppressing it, people are going to view this as more negative and kind of just continues to fit the bill. We're seeing the SEC not give up on their attack on the altcoin space. They haven't really gone after Bitcoin, but we know there's a lot of people in Washington that don't like Bitcoin from an economical standpoint, from a crushing the dollar standpoint. So the suppression of crypto continues. And while I think that this is going to be long and drawn out and ultimately BlackRock's going to get a slap on the wrist, it doesn't mean there won't be places of FUD and some negativity that surrounds it for now. Again, maybe this is a continued reason why we don't really see mass adoption into Bitcoin for another year, keeping it on that 4-year cycle. That's my initial thoughts right now, but this is one that we're going to have to continue to talk about as details come out, T-Shroom. There's nothing you can say with concrete evidence right now that this can be bullish, bearish, or anything in between.
Yeah, I think this is the end of BlackRock.
Okay.
All right, just kidding. Taking a look here at the more stories we've got. Could it have happened any more coincidentally on the same day that pop star Lizzo is being sued by 3 of her former dancers over claims of including sexual harassment and creating a hostile work environment, among other claims, that Donald Trump, former president of the United States, maybe you've heard of him, this is not the thing I thought, but he has been charged of multiple claims of conspiracy and things surrounding the January 6th or 7th storm on the Capitol. Yeah. January 6th storm on the Capitol. So, Tim, is this a coincidence that these two things are happening on the same day? What's going on here?
That'd be an interesting cell to be in if they become cellmates. Lizzo and Trump. Very, very interesting. No,
It would.
there's no coincidence in it. I think one of these people is getting just brutally attacked, and the other person is Lizzo, and she just did something terrible. I mean, to be fair, I've said this about other things before when we were talking about Richard Hart. I want to see more evidence come out, and I'm going to continue to operate with the way we should. She's innocent until proven guilty. But if the stories are true that are coming out about this Lizzo thing, how is her career not over? I mean, it's absolutely disgusting what's being accused of her.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it's Lizzo. I don't know. It's going to be a wrestling match between morality and then woke culture that says that we need a large woman to stay popular. I don't know.
Let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second, because I think there may be there's some things here that may be lurking under the surface, right? So there's big interest groups, right? Donald Trump more than likely supported by interest group A, right? Lizzo supported, by supported I mean like her marketing efforts are probably amplified and magnified by said interest group, and in turn she kind of puts some specific messaging in her lyrics and things like that. That's a different interest group. What I kind of think could be going on here is, in order for Trump to be allowed to have such possibility of actually going to jail, that the other side had to agree to let one of their heroes fall. So that's kind of what potential tinfoil hat. Did you see where I'm going?
Don't call that a Tim. That's a little. That's too far for even tinfoil hats. That is a whole different ordeal going on there. What would be interesting, T-shirt. Speaking of Trump, he's already said if he goes to if for some reason he actually ends up behind bars, he will continue to run his campaign from behind bars. Well, of course, Joe Biden is a little bit of trouble his own. Wouldn't it be interesting if the presidential? Oh, here.
Speaking of presidential candidates, vote for me, 2028. Thank you.
Bitcoin skyrocketed just then.
I say, yeah, you heard it here first. Vote for Ben 2028. No, wouldn't it be interesting if Biden is in legal trouble, potentially doing something behind bars, and runs for re-election? And so it would be the first to have one candidate run behind bars. But how cool would it be to have two of them? Would that not be the ultimate? It'd be pretty sign gangster of how bad American government is, American politics is, that we have our prisoners running for office. Yeah. Could be interesting.
Yeah. It'd be very ironic in so many different ways.
When you think about it, T-Shroom, it's a true American story. No matter what you've done in your life, anything's possible in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can be Donald Trump or Joe Biden, be a criminal, and still run.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a couple more stories that we'd be remiss if we didn't cover, because Binance did monthly transactions worth $90 billion in banned China market. Wall Street Journal reports. I did not look into the details of this, but on the headline alone, there can be a lot discussed. I mean, essentially, this could be pretty big if true. The Chinese, and how would the Chinese government respond is kind of the question there. I'm not sure. I don't know that they really would or could. They may just say, well, we're going to kick the can down the road till eventually thawing our approach to crypto, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Tim, do you have any immediate reaction to that headline, or is that kind of just
no, not at all.
I mean, it's coming out on a day when there's so much craziness. I don't even know if it's going to get read, but that's a pretty big headline. I mean, you're seeing essentially that the Chinese market has been obfuscating it's the bans that China has tried to put on it. This could be bearish, though, I'd say, because if there is a continuation of the China falling towards crypto narrative, and traders and investors are putting a lot of weight on that in their analysis, we could have just gotten the data to show, oh, China's been baked in. China trading volume has been baked in, and therefore, if China did thaw, there wouldn't really be that many new buyers for Bitcoin. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, 90 billion it's not 900 billion, right? So it's not like this is a binary situation, but it's something to consider.
You do have to remember, T-Shroom. So anytime you see, again, if we're going to talk about Chinese dollars, we can't assume all of those Chinese dollars are pro Bitcoin and buying and longing Bitcoin. You're also going to have Chinese dollars coming in shorting. So we're getting more volume. But that volume goes in two different directions. I still think that this will be a bull market. The last one, you saw trickles of institutional adoption. I think this will be a massive institutional adoption year, bull market for Bitcoin. And when the time is right, I don't think you're going to see the Chinese institutions go against it. They're going to go with the flow. And it's one of the reasons why I do think that Bitcoin will make it fairly over 100K. The question is, will it make it all the way to 200K? And again, it comes into the money will be there to do the 200K. It's just when you start to get to a certain level, it starts to look very advantageous to short Bitcoin. And institutions are going to do that as well, because it's still with so much retail investment going on, it's easy to manipulate stuff and manipulate news and manipulate price action. So you got to stay vigilant. Everyone watching right now, continue to watch us daily. That's one of the biggest things we do is we are always, and the reason why I am the way I am, the reason I stay bearish even if things are moving in a false direction, is because we're watching out for manipulations, trying to think about these things the way whales and institutions think about them. And again, I've definitely been wrong recently, but I've been right a lot more than I've been wrong. And the things that I'm looking like I'm wrong are not over. And we're starting to see the signs of those things coming true. It's just because I'm trying to think about what if there was a composite man, how would he act? That is the whole point of trading. That's what Wyckoff teaches. Cannot wait. Again, that'd be cool. Let's do Chris Inks and hear some Wyckoff teachings, because I'm a big Wyckoff fan. But guys, with that said, that's all we have for you guys today. We only got to 95 likes. They didn't even get to 100. That's disappointing. Guys, you got to smash that like button on your way out. We are the Investing Bros. We'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. We'll see you tonight on X for those X spaces at 7 p.m. You guys have a fantastic day.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.